Matt Santagapita, Santa Sells Houses team, and this quick little video we put together was a quick Q&A that we did down at the Highland Golf Course in London here with BMO Nesbitt Burns and a handful of their investor clients. Look down in the description there. All of the questions that are asked are in there, so you can kind of see the content that we're talking about here. Hopefully you enjoy it. My name is Matt Santagapita, and so I guess I've been a licensed realtor for 9 years. I started investing in real estate when I was 18. And about 6 years ago, I kind of observed the marketplace changing in real estate and quite frankly not really making any sense. It was becoming a lot more complex. So I went down the path of building a team, and the whole concept is, banks. You have specialization. Just about every single company out there has specialization except for real estate. We always think we're the jack of all trades, and we're not. So I started building a team. So we have listing specialists, buyer specialists, new construction specialist, and then our next thing that we're going to be adding is we're going to be looking at investment property specialists. So to give you an idea on production, not that it necessarily means everything, but it does give you some indicators. As a group of 4 agents, we sold 196 houses last year, which averages out to 49 homes per agent. We live in a marketplace where the average agent does, I think it's 4.3. Nothing wrong with that. There are different scales, but we believe in going hard, and we believe in going with new marketing, but as well, like Jill said, very data driven, trying to remove the emotion out of it, which is probably why some people accuse me of being unemotional. But in reality, emotions sway us. Numbers, you can play with numbers and make them say certain things, but for the most part, numbers really tell you the truth. So it's a little bit on me. So there's myself, we have Dale Marsh, Josh Brown, Sean Baker, we have our operations manager, Jordan Menard, so she essentially manages our team from the back end. We have Carlin, our digital marketing guru, we also just call him Man Bun. We have Angela, part of our marketing team, and we have Jessica, part of our marketing team, and then we have probably about another 5 other people that we reach out to just for little snippets of things. So there's a lot more going on in our back end than most people realize. Crazy is what happened. Yeah. When you look at 2017, I don't want to say it's it's probably the start of a perfect storm is kind of really the way of describing it. Other than what everybody knows, we've had low interest rates for eons. But when you start really dissecting what is causing it, the one big driver locally, and when I say local, I mean more call it like provincial or even federal or across the country, roughly about 25% of Canada's population is of retirement age or older, so 65 years or older. That's massive. And there's one thing that generally as people get older, they do. They end up retiring, and they think, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? They want to settle down maybe somewhere a little quieter. So when you look at you take that number coupled with the insanity that you've seen out of Toronto, let's just call it that because that's kind of what it is. I'm sorry, but if I was 65 plus and I was thinking about retiring, the last place I would go is Toronto. They start looking at other areas, and the reality of it is when you do start peeling the layers of the onion back and you see what cities have to offer what. London it's a healthcare city and it's an education city, which is phenomenal, right? It's finally bubbling up. We're seeing a little more interesting stuff. There's a lot more restaurants, a little bit more nightlife. We have an amazing arena facility downtown. It's kind of all these things have started to come together. One other big point is global chaos, is what I call it. There's a lot of bad stuff going on in the world, where a lot of people are fleeing said bad stuff. As an example, immigration in Canada for the past 2 years have hit 300,000 new immigrants coming to our country. We really do live in one of the most amazing countries in the world. I mean, we have freedom of speech, our healthcare is amazing, our education system's amazing. We have one of the best banking systems globally, and that's fact because they actually debate it every year. So, but I think it's really been all of these elements kind of coming together at just the right time. One other interesting development that we've just started to see, and as an example, so October, November of last year in Ontario alone, there were 2,000 high-tech jobs that were created because of one single event, and that was the American president imposing visa bans from certain countries. So a lot of those tech companies now need, I mean, when you're really highly specialized tech, you need to have certain people, and they're starting to put them in Canada. Amazon as an example, right? So it's like perfect storm. That's really just it. I could ramble on for hours. I'm just gonna stop myself, but no, I wasn't, because I again, like, I look at numbers. I'm a numbers person. Like, it gives us guidance and reassurance. You know, you could see the aging demographic that was coming. I feel like, you know, every other month they're talking about how many, you know, refugees they can get into the country. They're humans. They're not living on park benches, right? Like they have four walls, a roof, and, you know, a sink and a toilet and all of that. And, you know, all of a sudden, you know, 300 people or 400,000 people come to the country. They have to live somewhere. That's a lot. This is my prediction, is Londoners will get pushed out of London. People who grew up in Toronto will get pushed out of Toronto. That's just the nature of it. It sucks. Everybody's familiar with like what we call like a 3-bedroom Byron Ranch or Oak Ridge Ranch, right? Like maybe a 1-car garage, you know, 3 bedrooms, bathroom. You have that in Oakville on a really nice lot, you're $1.5 million. So if you think about it, if you sold that for $1.5 million and then you came to London and you found a awesome, you know, 1,500 square foot, 2-bedroom detached condo with a fully finished basement for $450, you won the lottery. And you can buy it cash. And it's scary because you sit there and you're like, what is going on? But to them, it's nothing. To them, they actually feel like they're shopping at a garage sale. And high-speed rail will just jar the market even more. It's the driver. It's the driver. So what's really fascinating also about Toronto is the average, so 17% of Toronto's population is 65 and older. So in comparison to the rest of the country, Toronto's numbers are skewed because there's less older people. And the reason though for that is that's where all the foreigners want to go, because they're used to going up, right? When you start looking at the rest of the world, I mean, even if you go to Paris, for instance, as an example, they don't live in housing the way we do. Everything's 6 stories for the entire city. So they're a lot more used to not having a yard, not having a backyard, a front yard. You know, I got a 2-car garage. Like, that's bizarre to them, right? So no matter what, you know, when you sell something, you have to buy. If you're going to the outer ring, your money definitely goes further in the outer ring. So by that, I mean like the hamlet, you know, towns, things like that, like a Thorndale, a Kamoka, Mount Bridges, you know what I mean, like outskirts. Some of the hottest places, I would say you're talking, like Talbot Village has been very interesting. Silverleaf, they start at pretty much $1 million. North London's another big one. Upper Richmond Village, they've seen some interesting stuff in there. You know, Warbler Woods, that's always a popular one. Kilworth has been very strong. Thorndale, Dorchester, and Thamesford have seen a lot of outside interest from the GTA area. You know what's been really annoying is HGTV. Your perfect home doesn't exist. Your perfect home is what you make it, with the memories you have with your friends and your family, with the color that you paint your bedroom after you've lived there for 5 years, right? So a lot of people, they want to open the door and just love the home, everything's done, and your only way to get that is new build. But then the flip side with that is people hate the idea of mud and no trees. So that it becomes difficult. Sometimes you can tell that some people actually really go through an internal kind of emotional roller coaster trying to grasp, you know, the state of the real estate market currently. Shopping for a home becomes a bit of an exercise. And so you'll start going and looking at the perfectly polished home and the new build disaster. And as you're going through it, it's asking questions to really dig down and understand, does this work, does that work? And in the end, here's the truth. You say what you're searching for is a bandwidth like this, it's really not. You just don't realize it yet. It's really this. But you haven't gone through the exercise. Structural issues on a home are a nightmare. Just avoid it. You got to remember, you move into a house and you find a serious deficiency, you need a permit. The second you get a permit, you're now opening up a whole ball of wax because you now have to bring everything up to code. Because if you all of a sudden run into something where you have to touch something electrical, now you got to worry about electrical new code, plumbing new code, all of these things, right? You are seeing a lot more of that actually, yeah. Freeing up their equity. I was shocked at first, but then when you sit back and you think about it, you know, it actually kind of makes sense. But most of it actually has to do with because they have a level of uncertainty of exactly what they want to do. And some of that probably relates back to my demographic, which is their children. Because we are living in a bit more of a flux state where, you know, some of us are married, some of us aren't married. We're talking about having kids, some of us have kids. Our jobs are changing. Typically, most grandparents in the end want to be where their kids are who have kids. But if there is an uncertainty of, well, they might get transferred and they might go there or they might go there, you definitely see a lot more consideration to rentals.